Hi students, in this video we are going to study some further applications of total internal reflection. And before going into the application, let us rewind. What is TIR or total internal reflection? You know, when light travels from a denser medium to a rarer medium, and if the angle of incidence of the light is greater than critical angle, what happens? The light ray gets completely reflected back to the denser medium without going into the rarer medium, and this phenomena is known by the name total internal reflection. So what are the two conditions for TIR to happen? First one, light should travel from denser to rarer medium, and the second condition is the angle of incidence should be greater than the critical angle of the medium. So if these two conditions are satisfied, then we can say TIR or total internal reflection has taken place. Now let us see the second application of TIR, that is sparkling of diamond. The first application which we discussed is mirage, and we discussed what is a mirage, how is it produced, etc. Now in this video we are going to see how a diamond sparkles or how a diamond glitters. Now in market, you know, different varieties of diamonds are available, and the most common which you hear is cut diamonds and uncut diamonds. You must have heard this term, uncut diamonds and cut diamonds. Now if you take these two diamonds in your hand, you can see that cut diamond doesn't show much brilliance or much glittering. It will be just like a piece of stone. But the cut diamond, which is more expensive, will glitter like a star. Now why is this happening? It is because of the way the diamond is cut into that particular shape. The diamond will be having many faces, and when the light enters the diamond, what happens is that the light ray will get trapped inside, and multiple total internal reflection will take place, because for a diamond the critical angle is 24.4 degree. So once, if this is a diamond, when light enters the diamond, it will be hit on this enters the diamond, and when it is reflected to any other face, what happens? It will get incident at that particular face at an angle greater than the critical angle, and multiple, because of the way the diamond is cut, multiple reflections will take place, multiple TIRs will take place, and through certain phases the light will come out. So if you are looking at the diamond through those phases, you can see the diamond is sparkling, or it is glittering. This is why a diamond sparkles, or a diamond causes more brilliance. Because of the way it is cut, the light rays, when it enters the diamond, get multiple times TIR, and it comes out of certain phases, and when you are looking to the diamond through those certain phases, you can see the light coming out, and it seems that the diamond is glittering. Now the third application of TIR is total reflecting prism. From the name itself it is clear, a prism which reflects the light totally which enters into it. Now basically total reflecting prism are right angled isosceles prism made of glass having critical angle equal to 42 degree. So the critical angle of TIR prism is 42 degree, and when the light enters the prism through any of its faces, what happens is that it will be incident on the face in such a way that the angle of incidence will be always 45 degree, which is greater than the critical angle, and total internal reflection takes place. Now depending upon the way we keep the prism or we orient the prism, there are three ways in which we can obtain the output rays. And first one is to deviate the ray at 90 degree. Using this total reflecting prism, you can deviate the incident ray and the emergent ray will be at 90 degree with the incident. So, let us see how this happens. So, this is our right angled isosceles prism. So, this angle is 90 degree. This will be 45. This will be also 45. So, that sum will be 180 degree. Now, whenever a ray of light hits the surface normally, what happens? When a ray of light hits the surface normally, what happens? There won't be any deviation in the path of the ray. There won't be any refraction, and the ray will travel along the same path. The same way, since the light ray is incident on the face AB, we will call this ABC, on the face AB normally, there won't be any deviation in the path of the ray, and it will travel along the same path and will hit this surface, the surface BC. Now, this angle is 90 degree. So, this will also be definitely 90 degree. Okay, this is a right angle prism. So, this 90, this 45 means this angle will be 45 degree. Now, let us see what is the angle of incidence for the face AC of the ray. For that, what must we do? This is the surface, draw a normal. So, we draw a normal at that particular point, and this is 90 degrees. So, this is 45 means this is also 45. So, the angle between the incident ray and the normal is 45. I told you for a total reflecting prism, the critical angle is 42 degree. So, here 45 degree angle of incidence is greater than 42 degrees. So, what will happen? The ray will get totally reflected and will hit this other face BC of the prism. Okay. Now, this angle is 45. So, this is 45. So, definitely this angle will be 90 degree. So, again it is hitting the other surface or the interface BC at normally. So, without any deviation in its path, the ray will come out. So, in this case, the ray which entered the prism got reflected at 90 degree. So, this is how a prism, total reflecting prism works to deviate a ray through 90 degree. So, imagine there is an object. This is a right angled prism. There is an object P dash. The rays from P and P dash will hit the surface or hit the face BAC, from where at an angle greater than the critical angle 45 degree. From then it gets totally reflected and comes out, and we will get an image like this, P dash. Now, total reflecting prism which deviates the ray through 90 degree is mainly used in periscope, that is the device used in submarine to see what is happening above the water. The next application of total reflecting prism is to deviate the ray at 180 degree, which means the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray will be 180 degree. For this, the light is made to fall on the hypotenuse face of the prism. What happens? The light hits the surface normally. Since it is hitting at normally, what happens? Without any deviation, without any deviation, it goes in a straight path. It's the other surface at an angle of 45, angle of incidence of 45 degree. So, greater than the critical angle. It gets reflected from there totally. Is the other face again at an angle of 45 degree. Again, total internal reflection takes place and it comes out. So, if this is the object A, B, after reflection, the rays from point A and B after total reflection inside the prism comes out like this, and we will get an inverted image. of the object. And this prism is mainly used in this type of prism is mainly used for poroprism. The application is, it's an example for poroprism. Now the next one is, if you want to get an incident emergent image or emergent ray in which there is no deviation in the angle, but you want to get an inverted image, then you can keep the prism like this. Third application, to obtain an inverted image without any deviation. In angle. Now this type of prism is mainly used in binoculars. Here the object, it is like this. What happens, ray comes, hits the surface normally, gets totally reflected, incident on the other face at an angle of 45 degree, which is greater than the critical angle, gets reflected to the other face again and normally, so it is without any deviation in its path, it emerges out. Same way you will get the ray from the other point of the object, and you will get an inverted image like this. And this arrangement is used in binoculars to see the image of distant objects. Now what is the advantage of total reflecting prism over mirrors? Because you can use mirrors also, plain glass mirrors also, to reflect the light ray. You know how a mirror works, isn't it? When the ray of light gets incident on the mirror surface, it gets refracted, enters the glass, passes through the glass, it touches the silver surface behind the glass, then gets reflected and comes out, and it enters our eye. The ray enters our eye. But it has certain disadvantages, because once the light ray enters the glass of the mirror, there is a chance of absorption, which means the intensity of light obtained at the output, the one which you see, will be comparatively less. And it is having a silver coating at the back, I told you. So after using it for a long time, you have to again paint the silver coating, and due to moisture or any dust in your room or wherever it is kept, what happens? It can get tarnished. So all these conditions can be avoided by using a total reflecting prism. So what are the advantages of total reflecting prism over a plain glass mirror? First one, the light gets totally reflected. There is no loss of intensity of light like taking place in a plain mirror. That is the first advantage. Second one, they are unaffected by tarnishing. They are unaffected by the dust or fog or whatever it is. So it is prevented, it is unaffected by tarnishing like a plain mirror. Now next advantage is no multiple images are formed. For a plain mirror, you can use a plain mirror to produce multiple images, but a prism you cannot produce multiple images. And the final advantage is does not require any polishing. It does not require the silver polishing or anything like that. You can use it for a very long time. Now the last advantage which you have to study in this chapter about for TIR is optical fibers. Fourth application. Now optical fibers. You must have seen optical fibers or optical cables when you walk through a road, when there is a construction going in the road. Now what is an optical fiber? An optical fiber is basically a very fine strand of pure glass or quartz which has the diameter of hair and is used to transmit signals light signals to very long distance. So they are thin strands of pure glass or quartz which has a diameter of the hair, which is as small as the hair, thickness of the hair, and is used to transmit light signals to a very long distance. Now let us see what are the parts of an optical fiber. Now optical fiber basically consists of three parts. There are three layers. The innermost layer of optical fiber is called the core, C-O-R-E. Okay. Now core is made up of pure glass having a refractive index of 1.52. Okay. Core is made up of pure glass or quartz which is having a refractive index of 1.52. Now covering the core is again a glass which is having a comparatively low refractive index compared to core. Cladding, this layer is known by the name cladding. Okay, core, the second layer, outermost layer is cladding, which is made up of a material having low refractive index of approximately 1.48. Okay, and the last layer or the outermost layer which we see is known as the buffer coating. So, which are the three layers? The first innermost layer is the core made of glass having refractive index of approximately 1.52. Then outer layer to core is cladding, which is again made up of glass itself, but its refractive index is less than that of the core. And the third layer is buffer coating. Now what is the function of buffer coating? It is to protect the layer or inner layers of the optical fiber. Now when you see in row, these optical fibers will be combined and you will say it as a bundle. Okay. Let us see what is the function of an optical fiber. How does an optical fiber works? Now what happens is that, so this is the core layer. Okay. Now outermost to the core layer we have the cladding. Then the buffer layer, which I am not drawing right now. What happens is that the light which one gets inside the core layer or get incident on the core layer, from the core layer it goes to the cladding. Now what is it? Cladding is made up of a refractive index less than that of core, which means it is like light travelling from a denser medium to a point of rarer medium. And it will be at and the angle of incidence will be greater than the critical angle, so light gets completely reflected. Again from the core to the other side, which is the cladding, again light is travelling from a denser to a rarer medium. From there again it gets reflected, and this process keeps on. And this is how an optical fiber works. Optical fiber works on the principle of TIR, in which the light which enters the optical fiber after passing through the core reaches the cladding. So it is like light travelling from a denser medium to a rarer medium, gets totally reflected, reaches the other side, again from denser to rarer, reflected. It keeps on happening till the signal reaches its destination. Now applications of optical fiber. Now optical fiber has a variety of use in medical field. To study the whether there is a clotting in our bloodstream, to study the internal structure of a, study the structure of internal organs like stomach, esophagus, etc., etc. Second thing, it is used in telecommunication. Nowadays, net, it is working, most of you must be having net connection of optical fibers, isn't it? Telecommunication for long distance communication. It is also used for transmitting two-dimensional pictures. It is used to find refractive index of different materials. So these are the main applications of optical fibers. Thank you.